Gather round, guardians of the weird. And watch Shmoke spill shit all over his couch. Like, why did you use the napkin to dab off the top of your can? Like, that's where the soda lives, my guy.
This was a gift. Told you, weed heads give weed.
Weed heads give weed.
I'm sure it's available online. You're gonna be so mad. There's no shirts.
Once you go chubby, you want to make him your hubby. Once you go thin, you want to throw him in the bin.
Gather round, guardians of the weird.
What are we doing today?
What are we doing today?
Story time. That's what today is.
No. It's not story time.
Oh, no.
No.
News to me.
Yeah. Me too. Oh man, no. We came up with something before we came on, remember? What was it?
Spooky time?
You're on the right path.
Sip and Shmoke Saturday Spooktacular?
I figured it out. Spook time, woo!
Spook time, a woo.
You know. Alright, I'm sorry. Spook tales, woo!
Goddamn spook tales.
Do it right.
Woo woo.
Anyway, so hopefully they've seen your wonderful tales. Which,
Yeah.
You know, thanks again for sharing with us.
Of course.
So today, I figured we would walk through some of my stories. Anybody that are kind of, you know, as I tell people about the podcast, or you know, going out ghost hunting, or some sort of urban exploration we're up to, or anything like that, they always ask me one question, and that question being like, what got you into this kind of shit, right?
Yeah.
What attracted you, anything like that? And I always tell them, you know, sarcastically, you know, but really, truly, you know, I grew up on a haunted house farm, right? Like,
Right.
you know, a little bit of a Mitch Hedberg joke, but I really did grow up in like a haunted house, and it's crazy to look back on, and there are definitely certain stories that are harder for me to tell, and there's no Hollywood production, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like at the end of the stories, there's no, you know, demon gets stone cold stunnered or any shit like that, people's elbow, none of that. Very, I mean, basic mundane kind of stories, but nonetheless, they definitely happened to me. So the first one I wanted to start off with was a story I got made fun of a lot. And I don't actually know if I've told you this story, because I do kind of keep it kind of close to the chest.
Oh, okay. This is new to me too.
It might be. I might have told you too. I don't know. I smoke a lot of weed. My first memory, like my first living human being memory, I was like 3 years old. And you know how you can turn like the oven on in a light, or turn the oven on in a light, turn the light on in an oven to, like, you know, see how the turkey's doing, shit like that.
Right.
Exotic blooms. It was similar to that, but almost like a fire burning, and it was this troll-looking person, had hair.
Okay.
But like Neanderthal features. And keep in mind, this is a very, very distant memory, so all I have is really the recollection of telling this story over and over again.
Right.
And I remember that it was saying something, and it was just framed inside this fucking oven window. Weird, like, fucking glow and fucking figure. It was speaking, but it was... Keep in mind, I'm 3, so fucking English probably fucking sounded foreign to me anyway. All these goddamn big SAT words and shit. Or it could have been something completely different. Either way, I didn't understand shit of it. And that is the only bit of that memory that I have. I don't even pick up memories until I'm like fucking 5 years old after that. Like, I don't have any other fucking, like, I've got little bits and pieces of like people or like events and shit like that, but no like fully formed like fucking memories.
Right.
And I took a lot of heat for that shit. I remember that. Because I would tell these stories and my cousins didn't fucking believe me and my mother didn't believe me and my father definitely didn't fucking believe me. And, you know, so, oh, you know, you see any fucking, you know, entities in the fucking oven? And it's like, haha, fuck you. But, like, if you lived here, you know what I'm saying? Like, you might understand some of this shit.
Right. So,
that was my, my first human memory. is paranormal.
Yeah.
Or a misrepresentation of something that I misinterpreted as a very small child.
Right.
Very, very
well, I mean, you know, unless your mom was like, I don't know, cooking a chihuahua for dinner, you know. I don't really see too many things that you could have misconstrued there. Like,
yeah.
Do you think? No, I know you said that. You know, it's not like a firm memory that you still have, but more so the memory of talking about it. But do you think that there is a possibility? And now this is just me, you know, trying to look for. I always try to look for the logical.
Right.
You know.
Oh, okay.
Do you think that there's a possibility that maybe little you, the light in the oven was on, and maybe you saw your reflection?
It's possible.
And, or.
But I mean, this
was the bitch like in the oven, you know, like.
It felt like a TV screen. And he felt very old and hairy. So I don't necessarily feel like, and like I said, very Neanderthal in his appearance, like very, you know, like accentuated brows and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So now,
like a troll.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Kurt Russell. No, I'm just kidding.
What? All right. Okay. Understandable why that would be such a formative memory there.
Yeah, and so I lived with that for a while, and for the most part, it caused me to keep a lot of stuff like out of. Growing up, I didn't really talk about this stuff a lot. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until I got older and grew into my nuts, or I was just like, this is me, suck it, you know what I'm saying? Fucking, I'm unapologetic about who I am now, and I'm not trying to fit into any fucking, you know, square pegs into the square hole, like. Then I was able to kind of enjoy it a little bit more, you know,
right.
my teen years and stuff like that, and really pursue it. But yeah, so that was my first human collective memory. And it wasn't much longer after that certain things started happening, and I'd come downstairs and, you know, we'd have under the cabinets little like J hooks that just held coffee mugs.
Right.
And they'd all be fucking shaking and shit like that. And I'd go and fucking get mom, and I'd fucking bring her back into the fucking kitchen, and they're not doing shit. They're just hanging there. And then I remember my family, we took turns hosting holidays. I feel like that's a pretty common thing. Like, different sisters hosted different holidays, so to speak. Like, irrelevant, but, you know, much closer to mom's side than dad's side. So there was never any like dad's side hostings or anything like that. So it was like these couple sisters always hosted. Thanksgiving, one place, Christmas, one place. We had Easter, which was great because that meant, leftover deviled eggs, all for me,
Right.
And we were sitting at the dining room table. You've been to my parents' house.
Yep.
You've seen that exact dining room table. The very first seat closest to the step going down into the kitchen.
Right. Oh, so that's the house that all this happened in.
That's the house. I mean, that's not the current oven anymore. That, obviously I'm 35 now. But yeah, we moved into that house when I was 3, and it's no coincidence that my first memory is also right there, in that house. So we hosted Easter, and at that table, we used to have kind of seats, so to speak. Especially with siblings and stuff, everybody had to have their own designated seat, and then, we'd fill it in around and everything like that. And my seat was the very farthest back from the step. And I'm telling you all this because it's completely fucking irrelevant.
Of course.
So, we're sitting at fucking Easter dinner.
Hey, you gotta set a scene, man.
Right. We're sitting at Easter dinner. Well, I mainly wanted to paint the picture for you just because you've actually physically seen it.
Right.
And that is the actual table that we were sitting at. And this was probably a couple months after my grandmother had passed away. I remember the funeral.
R.I.P. in peace.
Yes, R.I.P. I don't remember all of my grandparents died when I was relatively young, so I don't have a whole lot of memories of them, but I remember the funeral. I remember I really, really, really looking back at it, didn't have a grasp of what was happening there and what my mother was probably fucking dealing with.
Right.
And then she's got my little shenanigans ass running around in a fucking funeral home, making fucking trouble and shit. But anyway, so it's Easter dinner. We've got my aunt and her family, another aunt and her family over. Everybody's sitting down to dinner. And I forgot something in my room. Now, the house is 2 levels, no basement, just a first level and a second level. I know you know that, but just for the viewer's sake. And my bedroom was upstairs. So when you come up the stairs, straight ahead of you is going to be my sister's old bedroom. To the right is going to be a bathroom. And then next to my sister's room is going to be my room. And across from my room is going to be my parents' room, if that makes sense. So if you took all the rooms in order, essentially, in a clockwise, counterclockwise, coming up the steps, it would be bathroom, sister's room, my room, and then across from that is parents' room.
Okay.
So I'm rushing up these fucking steps to get whatever the fuck my little fucking 5-year-old ass forgot. And it didn't even dawn on me. We had inherited, my sister had inherited my grandmother's wardrobe. Mirror, or dresser, wardrobe, fucking big mirror on the back and everything like that. And as I ran by her room, there was a figure that it wasn't until I got back downstairs and started to actually think about that I, at that very time, mistook to be my sister, just getting ready or whatever, running late to the fucking table.
Right.
But then I got downstairs and my sister was at the table and everybody was present and accounted for, and I started to think about it and I was like, this is creepy as fuck. It was a blue dress and a very frail older woman, very patchy hair, was trying on this almost gown in this mirror. And yeah, that freaked me the fuck out.
Oh yeah, I can definitely imagine. You said you were what, 5?
Yeah, I mean the 3-year-old thing really didn't affect me anything, but this, you know what I'm saying? I was fully conscious essentially at this point.
Right.
And I was already, as crazy as it sounds, I was already into cryptozoology. The fucking dinosaurs had made an easy transition for me. Greek mythology and Roman mythology, all that stuff had made for such an easy transition for me to jump into all these certain little niche like audiences.
Right. You had already started to become you.
Yeah, basically. And this kind of introduced like fucking the ghost world because, I'll be honest, it started off frightening. You know, if you guys watch ghost hunt videos, I have a billion times more composure than, you know, growing up with this kind of shit.
Yeah.
And it turns out, in later discussions with my mother, and again, rest in peace to my grandmother, and you know, discussing family business and everything like that, but she actually ended up dying from chemo cancer, and was very frail and thin in her final days.
I'm sorry, chemo cancer?
Chemotherapy, but like it finally killed her.
Oh, so
The thinness was from the chemotherapy attacking the cancer.
Okay.
She finally succumbed to all of it and was very frail and thin and losing her hair. She wore a wig apparently. And I didn't know this shit as a kid, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fast forward, you know, just kind of, you know, we don't have to touch on every moving mug or, you know, slight knock or anything like that.
So it sounds to me, now correct me if I'm wrong, kind of sounds to me like you had like a poltergeist on top of these other, because like you were talking earlier, the J hooks with the mugs, you know, they would shake and rattle and stuff like that. And to me, that's like very typical poltergeist type activity.
Yeah, we probably had several entities there, and honestly probably still do. Now granted, a lot of it probably stemmed from childhood, you know, growing up and all the aches and pains that come with that. My sister and me both not really being easy kids to deal with, and definitely a lot of anger in that house. Which, by the way, I used to be the most angry person in the fucking world. I was the kind of person that punched holes in fucking closet doors and walls and shit like that, and fucking full 360. It can be done if my hateful little ass can grow into the kind fucking person that I've become today. So can you. Reach out. You can do it. I just feel, I don't know, I felt like saying that because I see so many young people and they're just like, oh, this is the way it is. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, I don't know, but you have to make a conscious effort and like willpower to like make those changes, you know, and find something that works for you and helps you maintain that. But I think a lot of it did stem from the anger. That being said, I don't think, you know, the fucking lady in the mirror had anything to do with any kind of anger.
Yeah.
And that actually would not be the last time I would see her, by the way. But we're gonna follow this this timeline on through. In the span of 3 years, we had our glass back door just completely shatter. Just sitting there eating one day and just the whole thing comes down.
So like people were around it.
Me and my mother.
I was gonna say, so it's not like you came home one day and saw it shatter.
No. Yeah, we witnessed the shatter. It was,
and it like nothing hit it, like a bird didn't, you know.
Twice, and both times present for, by the way. So I don't know if that, you know.
All right.
And there was never there's still not an explanation to this day, which, by the way, I wanted to segue back to. We do have the invite, so if we want to do an investigation there, we are welcome. I know my mother normally doesn't like that kind of shit.
Right.
But, holla at your boy. So we have the green light. I think, honestly, she's just worn down. So then fast forward, you know, little stuff.
And isn't it weird? I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but I want to point out because, as I mentioned in my Spooky Tales woo video, I had a very similar haunted house kind of uprising. And isn't it weird how when you're raised in that kind of environment, right? Like you look at these like scary compilation videos and stuff, and people hear it creak and start freaking out, right? Like a door opens and they're ready to just move,
Right.
right? But like when you're raised in that just becomes so commonplace and normal. It's like, oh, okay, there it goes again.
Right.
All right, cool. What were you saying? Like, sorry to digress, but I always find that really funny how almost like desensitized.
Well, and also just to our own acclaim, I guess, is the fact that it creates a lot more opportunities, right? Because you're realizing what an opportunity it is that you have to communicate, because you're not, your fight or flight hasn't fucking initiated. You're not worried about any of that shit. You're on a investigative mission
Right.
at that point, right? You're like, oh, all right, yep, the baseline is set. Like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, where can we go? Can you knock for me, right? Anything,
Right.
like, can we start a two-way conversation? I'm not freaked out. Like, I asked for this shit.
Yeah.
Like, I want this shit. Like, and you might get me. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Yeah.
everybody can be fucking startled, but
Yep.
I'm gonna be here until you fucking drag me out. Like, so I think that helps us it's a badge of honor, kind of, like being like, right? I mean, we've been in the trenches of fucking paranormal since we came out of the womb,
Yeah,
basically.
pretty much.
So, no, yeah, I do find it funny, but I think it does have some unique privileges to it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
That being said, fast forward to middle school, and this story always kind of creeps me out because, so I have the attic in my room, right?
Okay.
And I hear, squirrels and shit like that, and all sorts of little wildlife, birds fly in there and make their little nest through the little window vent outside. So I mean, I grew up in this room. I'm familiar with the sounds and everything of that. It's middle school. I'm a little prepubescent teenager, fucking running around in my white M&M shirt, I'm sure. And every morning, I'm a morning shower kind of guy. Got to do my hair. Can't sleep on it, because then it's gonna be messed up, right? I gotta look beautiful. So my routine has always been to get up in the morning and get ready and get dressed, and I'd go in my room and like lay out my shit, you know what I'm saying? And I heard in the attic a different knock than like what I was used to with like squirrels and fucking birds and stuff like that. Almost like a boot hitting the ground.
Okay.
Just stopped, like there's my white tee laid out on the fucking bed. I'm fucking, shirtless in my fucking like shorts or whatever I was wearing, and just listening. Thump. Closer. Thump. Closer. Thump, thump, thump. All the way to where the attic, like fucking entrance
Right.
is. Now for this attic, because it's in my closet, you actually you can't get in from up there. Like if I were a burglar and I went through that vent, I mean, I guess where there's a will, there's a fucking way. But the way the wood sits down, the entrance sits down, it has to be pushed out of that frame. Like there's nowhere for your fingers to go.
Right.
Needless to say, that motherfucker started opening.
No shit.
And my ass, as I said, did not have the composure that I have now. My ass grabbed my shit and booked it to the bus stop, and I did not go back upstairs until my parents got home. Well, my mother to be specific.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So that's just a fraction of some of the stuff that's happened to me in the house. You guys want to hear more? Click that like button, subscribe.
Do all of the things.
We love you. Stay safe.
See you next time.